Welcome to Gridiron Ring, a sports talk show covering football and professional wrestling. I'm your host, the Encyclopedia Sports, Coolhand Luke 96. WWE will head back over to Saudi Arabia on Halloween here in the States on Thursday, October the 31st, 2019, for the second ever WWE Crown Jewel event. Breaking news with this event as well: women will wrestle on the card in Saudi Arabia for the first time in history. We'll have Natalya versus Lacey Evans inside a WWE ring in the desert of Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, on Halloween for WWE Crown Jewel. Natalya, Lacey Evans. Lana did travel as well, as Bobby Lashley and Rusev are in the Team Hogan versus Team Flair 5-on-5 Survivor Series comes early match for Crown Jewel on Halloween this Thursday. Live reactions play-by-play on Periscope with myself, your host, the Encyclopedia Sports, Coolhand Luke 96, so be sure to tune in 1 p.m. Eastern Time here on Thursday. Live reactions play-by-play, Crown Jewel in the WWE, as mentioned, making history with the first ever women's match in professional wrestling in Saudi Arabia with Natalya and Lacey Evans. 8 other matches on the card as well. However, 7 of those 8 are official. The other, AJ Styles versus to be determined. That'll be the winner of the 20-man number 1 contender battle royal. The winner will face Styles for the United States Championship later on during Crown Jewel. The participants in that number 1 contender battle royal are as follows. We have the Singh brothers, Mojo Rawley, Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, R-Truth, Sin Cara, The Brian Kendrick, Titus O'Neil, Tony Nese, Akira Tozawa, Shelton Benjamin, Apollo Crews, Buddy Murphy, Andrade, Drake Maverick, Eric Young, Cedric Alexander, Heath Slater, Humberto Carrillo, and No Way Jose. So basically the Jobber Battle Royal. Now back Super Showdown in June, the first Saudi Arabian pay-per-view in 2019. This will be the 4th overall to end year 2 of the 10-year agreement with the WWE and the Saudi Arabian Sports Authority. But Mansoor back Super Showdown middle of June. That's when Undertaker and Goldberg faced off in Saudi Arabia, and then Goldberg came back, faced off versus Dolph Ziggler at SummerSlam to basically make up for that match, because that match, I don't even really want to talk about it because it was god awful. But Mansoor won the 50-man battle royal. Now a 20-man battle royal for the number 1 contendership to face Styles, the U.S. Championship. I think Humberto Carrillo is going to win this, because to me it seems like they're very, very high on the youngster right now. Past 2 weeks on Raw, he's faced Seth frickin' Rollins and now the phenomenal AJ Styles just recently on Raw. A rematch for Crown Jewel for the U.S. title this time around I think would be good for Crown Jewel on Thursday, Halloween, once again here in the States, 1 p.m. on the WWE Network. Live reactions on Periscope with myself, your host, Coolhand Luke 96. Also, Luke Harper, Andrade, Buddy Murphy, and Cedric Alexander, I think, have the best shots to win this 20-man number 1 contender battle royal to face AJ Styles. Talking about Mansoor there a moment ago, he won the 50-man battle royal at Super Showdown. Now in a singles match in his homeland of the Middle East, singles match versus the Swiss Superman Cesaro. Mansoor's clearly going to win this. There's no other way around it. If Cesaro wins, I would be shocked. But Mansoor, WWE only promoting him as a 2-match wrestler during the Saudi Arabian shows, even though he is part of NXT. I know it's been as well since last time I recorded a prediction video for the WWE. It was actually NXT TakeOver Toronto and SummerSlam back in August, because then we had Clash of Champions. I did do predictions for that, if you watched my live stream of that pay-per-view, or even Hell in a Cell at the beginning of the month. Everybody was talking about that finish inside the Hell in a Cell for the Universal Championship with Seth frickin' Rollins and the Fiend Bray Wyatt, and they'll actually have a rematch on Thursday at Crown Jewel. I'll get to that here in a second. But Clash of Champions, I did do predictions, but however, I could not find time with football season beginning, both college and the NFL, could not find time to sit down and record. And then for Hell in a Cell, they only had 4 matches advertised for the show. Added more about a couple hours beforehand. Also an NFL Sunday, live reactions, play-by-play of football that day as well. So 4 matches advertised. Really didn't get time to sit down and record for Hell in a Cell either. But now here I am. Thanks for listening to my WWE Crown Jewel 2019 preview predictions. As the Crown Jewel event, it seems like it's going to be every year now, late October, early November, the first Saudi Arabian pay-per-view of the year, whether it be Greatest Royal Rumble again or Super Showdown. I would be fine moving forward with Super Showdown and Crown Jewel as the 2 Saudi Arabian pay-per-views, just so the WWE doesn't confuse us fans, professional wrestling fans, whether we watch WWE, Monday Night Raw, NXT on Wednesdays now on the USA Network. As mentioned, it's been a while since the last time I recorded. NXT's debuted on TV. We have AEW as well, a Wednesday Night War on USA and TNT, and then Friday Night SmackDown on Fox. But whatever you folks watch, and thanks for listening once again, but just so the WWE doesn't confuse us fans, I would be fine with moving forward as Super Showdown being the first pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia of the year, whether that's at the end of the spring, end of April, early May, or even middle of June like it was this past year, and then have Crown Jewel early fall, right before Survivor Series. Survivor Series will actually be on November the 24th in Chicago. I'll have preview predictions for that as well, plus live reactions on Periscope. Once again, live reactions, play-by-play of WWE Crown Jewel on Periscope this Thursday, Halloween here in the USA, October the 31st, 2019, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So be sure to tune in. So Mansoor Cesaro, give me Mansoor. No way in hell he's losing. I think Humberto Carrillo is going to win the Battle Royal and then face AJ Styles. But then AJ Styles versus Carrillo, there's no way in hell Styles is losing the United States Championship on foreign soil, because moving forward, once they come back to the States on Monday Night Raw, it's going to be AJ Styles, more than likely, versus Kevin Owens, the prize fighter himself, for the United States Championship. So we'll get that feud once again for the U.S. title, the phenomenal one against the prize fighter, Kevin Steen. And at that point, I mean, they might take the title off of Styles, insert him against Seth Rollins to the Universal Championship. Seems to me as well they're very, very high on the club right now, the OC, with Styles, Gallows, and Anderson. Aleister Black there right now as well. Seems to me he's getting a push behind Paul Heyman, who's been working backstage recently in the WWE alongside Vince McMahon and Triple H. Maybe Aleister Black, Seth Rollins. I know Seth Rollins is right now tied up with the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. But with the WWE draft that just happened a few weeks back, Bray Wyatt is now on Friday Night SmackDown. Videos, too, by the way, of recent WWE and AEW events that I attended live in person are right here on Gridiron Ring's YouTube channel, so be sure to go check those out, including a full dark match after Monday Night Raw with Rollins and The Fiend, plus what you don't see on AEW TV, even after AEW Dark. So be sure to go check those out. But could have Rollins, Aleister Black at Survivor Series. Maybe another rematch with Rollins and The Fiend, depending on what happens at Crown Jewel on Thursday. I'll get to that match once again here in a moment, but there's no way in hell AJ Styles is losing the U.S. Championship on Thursday at Crown Jewel, because he's going to be getting into a feud with Kevin Owens. And then after that, we'll see what direction WWE does move forward with, as mentioned, whether it's AJ dropping the belt, Owens then maybe getting into a feud with Aleister Black for the title, and then AJ going on to face Seth for the Universal Championship. You also, on Monday Night Raw, though, have Bobby Lashley Rusev. Somebody's going to be winning that feud over Lana here within the next few weeks. You have Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre as well. So it'll be interesting to see what WWE does exactly moving forward towards Survivor Series and then TLC. But then we have the Royal Rumble, which will shake everything up towards WrestleMania season on the road to WrestleMania. Royal Rumble in Houston, Minute Maid Park, where the Houston Astros play at. Currently in a World Series matchup versus the Washington Nationals. Series now tied 3 games apiece, 3-3. Game 7 tonight. This is being recorded the day before Crown Jewel 2019, October the 30th. Tomorrow, October 31st, Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. And then on that road to WrestleMania, following the Royal Rumble, early betting odds, Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, your top 2 to win the Royal Rumble in 2020. Plus, Fastlane, Elimination Chamber. It'll be Rumble, Chamber, Fastlane, and then WrestleMania 36 in Tampa, Florida on April the 5th. But we all know WWE. Vince always changes his mind, always swerves us every once in a while. Surprise returns here and there. Bad booking as well. So it'll just be interesting. It always is. And, that's one of the main reasons to watch, even though ratings have been down. But in my opinion, no one really is watching professional wrestling as a whole anymore. Whether it's WWE, AEW, TNA Impact, I've been hearing lately NWA Power's been good right here on YouTube. Go check them out as well. Be sure to subscribe to Gridiron Ring right here on YouTube as well. Like, follow, and subscribe. Gridiron Ring, Gridring 18, and myself, your host, Encyclopedia Sports Cool Hand Luke 96 on social media. Links are in the description below. But it just doesn't matter, in my opinion, right now, whatever wrestling promotion it is. No one's watching professional wrestling as much as they used to anymore. Why is that? I honestly don't know. But moving on with my Crown Jewel preview predictions for tomorrow's event in Saudi Arabia on the WWE Network. As mentioned, Natalya Lacey Evans in a first ever meeting of women inside a WWE ring in Saudi Arabia. Give me Natalya. She's a veteran in the business. However, I wouldn't be surprised if she does put over Lacey Evans. Mansoor, I think, will defeat Cesaro. Humberto Carrillo, recapping here real quick, I think will win the Battle Royal and then face off versus Styles, but Styles will retain in the end. Next, a tag team turmoil match to determine the best tag team in the world during the WWE World Cup. We'll have the New Day minus Xavier Woods, who's out for at least 9 to 12 months, from what I heard, with an Achilles injury. Got surgery, so he's going to be out of action, off TV for quite a while. So the New Day could win this. Kofi Kingston and Big E. Kofi's no longer WWE champion as well, if you did not know. Lost it to Brock Lesnar. Debut Friday Night SmackDown on Fox, October the 4th, in a squash 5-second match after an F5. So Brock Lesnar now your WWE champion, facing off versus Cain Velasquez, who debuted then in the WWE moments later. And this will be a rematch from the MMA world in UFC back in 2011, when Cain Velasquez defeated Brock Lesnar to become the new UFC World Heavyweight Champion. But however, New Day, Viking Raiders, my pick to win the tag team turmoil match to determine the best tag team in the world. They are right now the Raw tag team champs as well. But Viking Raiders, New Day, your two top picks, I would think, to win this match come Thursday at Crown Jewel. Heavy Machinery as well, Lucha House Party, Hawkins and Ryder, The Revival, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder. More talks of them potentially leaving the company in the future. Plus the OC, Gallows and Anderson, Ziggler and Rude, and also the B Team Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. Another reason why Styles is going to win over whoever wins the Battle Royal, my pick, Humberto Carrillo, once again, is because the OC is going to get involved and distract the official. Styles with a low blow, something along those lines. AJ Styles retains because then, as mentioned, he's going to get into a feud with Kevin Owens once they come back to the States on Monday Night Raw. But Tag Team Turmoil, give me the Viking Raiders, followed by the New Day with now only Kofi Kingston and Big E due to Xavier Woods' injury. Now get into some main event matches, main event quality matches for Crown Jewel. Team Hogan versus Team Flair as Survivor Series comes early. A 5-on-5 match with Roman Reigns, Rusev, Ricochet, Chad Gable, now known as Shorty G, along with Ali. Basically split with Raw and SmackDown for both teams. Team Hogan, Team Flair, the Immortal Hulk Hogan, the Nature Boy Ric Flair. They'll both be in attendance as well during Crown Jewel, as the WWE has officially landed in Saudi Arabia for tomorrow's event. But Roman Reigns, Rusev, Ricochet, Chad Gable, now Shorty G, and Ali versus Randy Orton, Bobby Lashley, the Almighty One himself, King Baron Corbin, all hail King Corbin, along with the Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura, and Drew McIntyre, who made his return on October the 21st. The Raw that I attended, videos from that once again, and AEW last week right here on Gridiron Ring's YouTube channel. Be sure to go check those out. Now, Hogan and Flair, two iconic wrestlers. You think of professional wrestling, you think of these two for sure. They're definitely on the Mount Rushmore in all professional wrestling. Now, the only reason why they're having this match, Team Hogan, Team Flair, Reigns, Rusev, Ricochet. Ricochet also another superstar on Raw that could get into a championship feud with Styles, Owens, Seth Rollins for that matter. We'll have to find out and see. But Team Hogan, Team Flair with Reigns, Rusev, Ricochet, Shorty G, Ali, Randy Orton, Bobby Lashley, all hail King Corbin once again, along with Nakamura and McIntyre. The only reason why they're having this match is to sell the pay-per-view. There's no other way around it. Normally, 5-on-5 matches. It's Survivor Series only. Survivor Series a couple weeks away. That's why I'm saying Survivor Series comes early here on Halloween. Trick or treat. And, you know, that's why we're getting the 5-on-5 with Hogan and Flair. Now, will they get involved one way or another in the match, get physical with somebody? I highly doubt it. However, though, you know, we could see Hogan with a leg drop. You know, Flair with a chop to the chest of somebody. Highly doubt he'd put somebody in the figure 4 or the figure 8. But, you know, only one way to find out, and that's to watch Crown Jewel. Hopefully you'll tune in and watch my live reactions, play-by-play, on Halloween, 1 p.m. for WWE Crown Jewel. But I'm going to go with Team Hogan over Team Flair. I'm going to take the faces over the heels, even though a good heel team, you can't go wrong with that. But Team Hogan with Reigns as the captain. Seth Rollins was supposed to be the captain. Then they're going to have him pull double duty and face the Fiend Bray Wyatt. So they pulled Rollins out of this match, inserted Roman Reigns. Reigns was reportedly injured during the recent Australian tour for the WWE. However, though, good to go, and will, as mentioned, more than likely win the Royal Rumble in January and face Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship once again, which is unfortunate to some extent, but we're just going to have to live with it because that's what we're going to get one way or another. But Team Hogan, because Roman Reigns is the captain, in WWE's eyes as well, in my opinion, with Reigns and Shorty G, Chad Gable, being over, with them both being on the same team, Team Hogan, I think Hogan's team will defeat Team Flair at Crown Jewel. And plus, Team Flair, they've gone over the past few weeks on Raw and SmackDown, respectively. And normally when you go over, when you stand tall on a go-home show for a pay-per-view, you lose at that upcoming pay-per-view. So Team Hogan over Team Flair. As mentioned, a lot of great main event quality, in quotes, matches for Crown Jewel. It'll be interesting to see what opens the show versus what closes the show. I think Lesnar, Cain Velasquez will end up being the main event because it'll end in controversy one way or another, just like Hell in a Cell did with the Seth Rollins and The Fiend Bray Wyatt. That ended inside Hell in a Cell, at Hell in a Cell. Normally, Hell in a Cell match, anything goes. You know, you can do anything you want. Only way to win is by pinfall or submission. However, after Seth Rollins broke out, Triple H's famous sledgehammer hit Wyatt in the face. The ref called for the bell. Everybody booing out the building. And it had controversy, obviously, but it led into Raw and then SmackDown, along with the recent WWE draft. And that's really all WWE wants sometimes, is more attention and to get people talking. And with Lesnar Velasquez, first time since the UFC fight in 2011, which Cain Velasquez defeated Lesnar for the UFC Championship, I think that'll main event. However, next at Crown Jewel, in a rematch from Hell in a Cell, it'll now be Seth Rollins and The Fiend Bray Wyatt in a Universal Championship rematch in a Falls Count Anywhere match, in which the match cannot be stopped for any reason whatsoever. Let me make that very, very clear. Seth Rollins, The Fiend Bray Wyatt, tomorrow at Crown Jewel, a rematch from Hell in a Cell for Universal Championship once again, in a Falls Count Anywhere match, in which the match cannot be stopped for any reason whatsoever. The match cannot be stopped for any reason. However, the match is going to be stopped either one by pinfall or submission. That's clear as can be. A blind person could see that. But the match will once again, in my opinion, end in controversy and will be stopped for some stupid ass reason because somebody's going to get involved. Now, whether or not that's to set up a feud with Seth Rollins, whether or not that's Aleister Black, if he did make the trip over there, I highly doubt it due to beliefs as Aleister Black, Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn will not be on Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. Tomorrow could be Drew McIntyre after the Team Hogan, Team Flair match, set up a match for Rollins and McIntyre at Survivor Series. We could see Rollins Fiend at Survivor Series once again, another rematch. Be the third time in a month and a half, but with the Fiend Bray Wyatt now being on Friday Night SmackDown, the blue brand, Wyatt will probably get into a feud with either Brock Lesnar or with Shinsuke Nakamura for the Intercontinental Championship, but Daniel Bryan's tied up with him right now. Kevin Owens with AJ Styles for the United States Championship. However, at Survivor Series normally, you have your two 5-on-5 matches, one men's, one women's, or a tag team. And then you have champion versus champion. It's the WWE champion versus the Universal champion as of late, since they introduced that back in 2016. So it'll be at that point Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar once again, and the winner won't receive the other championship. It'll just be a win-loss, whoever they want to push more on Raw or SmackDown, whether or not that be Rollins or Lesnar, more so Rollins, more so Lesnar on SmackDown with the Fox deal. However, Rollins has defeated Lesnar this year, WrestleMania. So it'll be very interesting to see what the WWE has in store for us tomorrow at Crown Jewel, moving forward to Survivor Series. Because as mentioned, it's going to be Rollins Lesnar at Survivor Series more than likely, when it should be, another rematch with Rollins and The Fiend, or Rollins and AJ Styles, Rollins Aleister Black, Rollins Drew McIntyre. Probably another rematch with Brock Lesnar, Cain Velasquez, because as mentioned, that'll probably be the main event, and it'll end in controversy as well to end Crown Jewel, to get people talking, to tune into Friday Night SmackDown this week, November the 1st in Buffalo, New York, as the WWE will get into Saudi Arabia as they have, and then get the hell out once the show is done and over with. So my pick, though, going back to Rollins and The Fiend Bray Wyatt, I think Rollins is going to retain just because with the recent draft, Rollins is still on Raw as the Universal Champion. The Fiend Bray Wyatt on Friday Night SmackDown now on the Blue brand, as mentioned. Probably get into a feud for a championship there. Maybe just have Firefly Funhouse explode. I know Rollins burned it down there, but it did return. Have it not explode because it blew up, but just have Firefly Funhouse grow bigger and bigger moving forward. Have the Fiend Bray Wyatt get more over with the crowd moving forward, and then eventually have him be, the top dog along with Roman Reigns, the big dog himself, on Friday Night SmackDown, because as mentioned, Reigns and McIntyre, the two favorites right now to win the Royal Rumble in January, and then Reigns will more than likely defeat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 36 for the WWE Championship once again, but still yet to be seen. As mentioned, Vince always changes his mind, just like I do all the time. But there's still a lot of time from now until then. Like, we have Crown Jewel, Survivor Series, some more TakeOver events, all WWE TV throughout the week with Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, AEW as well, competing with All Elite Wrestling, AEW competing with the WWE as well. They got a Full Gear pay-per-view on November the 9th, plus WWE and AEW television week in and week out. Moving forward, Christmas, New Year's, Royal Rumble. It'll be interesting to see what WWE does in retaliation, vice versa. AEW to WWE with pay-per-views. Whether or not they're going to be in the same cities moving forward, a couple weeks apart from each other. If they do one thing, one night, the other company does the same thing the next night, or, as mentioned, it'll just be interesting to see, because we haven't seen this in, how long. Really a true, I don't even know if you'd want to call it a war, but as mentioned, a lot has happened since last time I recorded, so I'm just trying to get caught up, recap everything with you folks, and once again, thanks for listening. But with the Royal Rumble, with the Elimination Chamber, Fastlane pay-per-view as well, WrestleMania, a lot of time from now until then, and then after that, we'll probably get another shake-up or a draft to shake things up once again. But at Crown Jewel, Seth Rollins will retain over the Fiend Bray Wyatt, but as mentioned, and I'll make this clear once again, the match cannot end for any reason whatsoever, Falls Count Anywhere. They'll have the match end more so in the ring because they're over in Saudi Arabia. They're not going to be fighting in the crowd now. If they were here in the States, that'd be a different story. They might fight up the ramp by the entrance, but they'll end up ending the match in the ring, I do believe. And I don't think they're going to have it be as bad as Hell in a Cell. They'll try to make up for that a little bit, just because of how bad the backlash was after the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view event in Sacramento at the beginning of the month. But then, as mentioned, that got everybody talking moving forward to Raw, SmackDown, and the recent WWE draft that really didn't do a whole lot in my eyes. I know I did live reactions play-by-play of both nights of the draft on SmackDown and Raw respectively, but it was just so stupid how they did it. I get they're trying to compete as well. They're trying to be like the NFL, the MLB, the NBA, the NHL, so on and so forth, and have a draft similar to that. I like the ticker thing that they had at the bottom because, every once in a while you do forget who just got drafted to whatever brand, team, respectively. But they said they're going to have more than just Stephanie McMahon come out and announce the picks. And yet, Stephanie McMahon was the only one that came out and announced picks for both nights of the draft. They did have like 4 or 5 rounds apiece each night. A total of 5 picks a round, so you guys can do the math on that. And then the war rooms with Fox and USA, I get that. It was real cheesy to me. Very, very cheesy. Like, just the reactions from some people Like, you could tell it was obviously pre-taped, but you want to talk about fake? That was fake. So, as mentioned once again, with everything that's been going on and now moving forward after Crown Jewel, a lot of storylines that they can move forward with. It just depends on, how good the booking is going to be once we get into these feuds, how good matches are going to be, returns maybe, so on and so forth. We get the gist of how WWE operates, but just don't do anything stupid and, not give the fans what they want, if that makes sense. Because they do give us what we want, but then sometimes it's us fans that are the real problem every once in a while, because we still get what we want, yet we're still bitching regardless of whatever happens. So hopefully that makes sense, trying to sum up everything. But Seth Rollins, he'll still defeat The Fiend, even though the match is going to end in controversy, as mentioned, and it's going to be stopped for some stupid-ass reason, even though they're saying it's a Falls Count Anywhere match, and the match cannot be stopped for any reason whatsoever. Tomorrow will be interesting for sure moving forward. Next, the monster among men, Braun Strowman, and the Gypsy King himself, Tyson Fury, comes over from the boxing world to face Strowman. Fury's definitely going to be going over in this match. Go back to the debut of SmackDown on Fox, Friday Night SmackDown, October the 4th in Los Angeles. Fury was ringside for Strowman's match, and they got into it face to face. Led to this now at Crown Jewel. Fury has a boxing match coming up in February, so he better be careful he doesn't get hurt, because if he does, that could be in serious jeopardy. But clearly, they're both going to be out there safe against one another, and it'll end smoothly. It's not going to be anything spectacular by any means, I don't think. They've been building it like crazy, but Fury, yeah, he is built probably for the sports entertainment world. Hell, he's in boxing, for God's sakes, and he's undefeated as a professional boxer, so he might knock out Strowman, but then that makes Strowman look weak, and in the meantime, WWE's tried to build him up, to be, their top guy on Raw or SmackDown. He's on SmackDown now alongside Roman Reigns. Reigns is going to be rolling SmackDown for the foreseeable future, along with Brock Lesnar and Cain Velasquez if he stays on SmackDown. Really didn't get assigned to a brand. Rey Mysterio by his side as well. As mentioned, Lesnar, Cain Velasquez, WWE Championship on the line, coming up next at Crown Jewel. But Strowman, he'll end up losing, unfortunately, to Tyson Fury at Crown Jewel. Now Brock Lesnar and Cain Velasquez, these two will meet inside a WWE ring for the first time ever on Thursday at Crown Jewel. It'll be for the WWE Championship as well. However, with Lesnar being the champion, he's not going to be losing to Cain Velasquez. They'll build Lesnar as the top dog on SmackDown until Reigns beats him at Mania, more than likely in April. Velasquez could go to Raw, could stay on SmackDown. Reportedly, he signed a 3-year deal, and he's going to be around more so than Brock Lesnar, more than likely. We'll have to find out and see about that. And, as mentioned, Mysterio's by his side. He'll be there on Thursday as well. Maybe make them a tag team once Mysterio is healthy enough to come back. They're not going to make Velasquez look weak by any means, but Lesnar's still going to win. Just because they had him defeat Kofi after Kofi defeated how many people over the summer after winning the title at WrestleMania 35 this past April. And then Lesnar beats him in 5 seconds with an F5. A simple squash match. Lesnar, he's going to be holding the championship for quite a while. And then, as mentioned too, Survivor Series, it'll be Rollins-Lesnar more than likely, champion versus champion as usual. However, if I were WWE, I'd change it up a little bit. But then I get you got to sell TLC and then the Royal Rumble a month later, end of January. So You could have championship matches on Raw and SmackDown too in the weeks to come. We've seen that before. As mentioned, I know I've been saying this a lot, but it's just going to be interesting to see what WWE does moving forward after Crown Jewel tomorrow with Survivor Series and then TLC and the Royal Rumble. Just because the Crown Jewel event tomorrow, it's pointless, to be honest with you. Long story short, I know I just previewed it and predicted everything that I think will happen. Moving forward then as well, my thoughts and opinions basically on what I would do storyline-wise as usual, or, things that could happen potentially. If they are already set in stone, if that makes sense once again. But the Crown Jewel event and the Saudi Arabian pay-per-views for the WWE, all it's about is money. They're getting a big payday to go over there, come back, continue on Raw and SmackDown in the States. But whatever happens tomorrow, Halloween 2019 for Crown Jewel, moving forward, nothing's going to matter. I mean, whatever happens tomorrow, it's just going to be pointless. It's just to put on a wrestling event and make a boatload of money. Long story short, I mean, there's nothing else to it. And we'll see what ends up happening. But once again, I'm going to take Natalya, Mansoor, Humberto Carrillo, AJ Styles, the Viking Raiders, Team Hogan, Seth Rollins, Tyson Fury, and the Beast Incarnate Brock Lesnar to win at Crown Jewel tomorrow. And now tomorrow at Crown Jewel, live reactions play 1 p.m. Eastern time here, live over on Periscope. So be sure to tune in, like, follow, and subscribe. Gridiron Ring, Gridiron 18, and myself, your host, the Encyclopedia of Sports, Cool Hand Luke 96. Links for social media are in the description below. Once again, thanks for listening to my WWE Crown Jewel predictions. Now, continuing on real quick, as I went back through and listened to my audio recording for WWE Crown Jewel Predictions 2019, as I went back through and edited, I thought I should add some more information that for some reason I didn't insert while I was recording. So here goes nothing. In my opinion, now I've been saying this for quite a while, WWE has way too many superstars but not enough time on television, and that's why sometimes they're in the boat that they're in, with storylines, bad booking, so on and so forth. And as mentioned, the Crown Jewel event, it's basically to go over, get your money, put on your event, and leave, because nothing's really going to come out of it. I would be shocked tomorrow if we had a title change. I would be shocked tomorrow if somebody came out and attacked afterwards to set up a future feud, because in the weeks to come, you're still going to have Raw and SmackDown, and with the way ratings have been lately, you need that on your programming throughout the week rather than on a pay-per-view. But then at the same time, you need something like that to happen on the pay-per-view to get people to tune in and watch on television week in and week out on Raw and SmackDown plus NXT as well. Because as mentioned, they have too many superstars but not enough time. You have 3 hours of Raw, 2 NXT, and 2 for SmackDown. So a total of 7 hours, plus you're competing with other wrestling promotions in AEW, TNA Impact, NWA Power, to name a few, and New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor as well. But, I've been saying this for quite a while, and hopefully you can agree with me on that, because in my eyes it's true. There's been how many times there's been superstars that they'll use them once, and then they'll disappear for 6, 7, 8 months, and we won't see them again until they resurface all in this draft that they just had. But then that's the last time we'll hear or see from them, until another 6, 7, 8 months goes by, because just too many superstars and not enough time. And as mentioned, I've been saying that for how long now. Now also, both companies, WWE and AEW, All Elite Wrestling, congrats to AEW for debuting on TNT. Hell of a show last week in the Steel City of Pittsburgh. And as mentioned, those videos are right here on Gridiron Ring's YouTube channel, so be sure to go check those out. Future is very, very bright for AEW, and they will for sure not be going anywhere anytime soon. But with both companies, WWE and AEW, being in the position that they're both in, competing against one another, whether they want to say that or not, they're both going to be doing their own separate thing. They're both going to have separate storylines for the respective superstars that they both have in their companies. But it's just going to be interesting to see about moving forward, shots being thrown left and right, because we've seen this before with the Monday Night Wars with WWF at the time, the World Wrestling Federation, now known as the WWE, and World Championship Wrestling, WCW, when they were also on TNT. Now AEW All Elite Wrestling on TNT with in quotes, a Wednesday night war with WWE NXT. But just interesting to see, if companies, these two other professional wrestling companies as well, as mentioned, with like New Japan, Ring of Honor, Impact, NWA, so on and so forth. Like, there's just so many wrestling companies out there, promotions anymore here in 2019, and somebody does one thing, it's going to be copied eventually. It's just like the NFL. It's a copycat league. Whatever one team does the next week, the other team that they just played against or some other team in the league is going to be doing the same damn thing. But just interesting to see moving forward if WWE is going to throw shots towards AEW or if AEW is going to be throwing shots towards WWE. We have seen some already here in the last month with both AEW and NXT being on television, or maybe even doing, something in retaliation, basically, from one another, like if they want to answer back to something that whoever said what, just to get people to tune in and watch, because I could really care less about the ratings, because I watch both at the same time. I know a lot of people are concerned about the ratings, but as mentioned earlier, this goes back to, in my eyes, in my opinion right now, I just don't think a lot of people are watching professional wrestling as much as they used to. And I'll leave it at that. And you guys can take that however you wish. I just, I like professional wrestling. I like talking about it, like previewing, predicting, recapping, play-by-play live reactions on Periscope as well. So hopefully you'll tune in tomorrow for my live reactions, play-by-play of WWE Crown Jewel. And once again, thanks for listening to my Crown Jewel predictions here this afternoon, right here on Periscope. Be sure to hit that subscribe button as well, and hopefully you enjoyed this little extended cut of Gridiron Ring's WWE predictions for Crown Jewel tomorrow on Halloween. I'm your host, the Encyclopedia Sports, Cool Hand Luke 96. Once again, thanks for listening. Hope to see everybody out tomorrow for WWE Crown Jewel. Also, be sure to keep an eye out for college football and NFL predictions right here on YouTube.